It's a strange thing. We've never been more connected in human history, right? And yet somehow, so many of us have never felt more alone. It's this huge paradox that you can just feel. So in this explainer, we're going to dig into some really fascinating ideas to try and figure out what on earth is going on. I mean, this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that feeling. We've got these huge digital networks, thousands of followers or friends, but they can feel a mile wide and about an inch deep. When you actually need a real hand with something, suddenly it feels like you're completely on your own.
So yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? With all these amazing tools that are supposed to bring us together, why does a real, genuine sense of belonging feel so hard to find? Well, the source material we're looking at has a really interesting theory that maybe we're being haunted by something we lost a long, long time ago.
Okay, so let's dive into our first big idea, a modern haunting. And we're not just being poetic here. The idea is that this widespread anxiety and loneliness we're all feeling, it's like a phantom limb, a ghost of something vital that used to be there and now it's gone. So the argument goes that we made a massive trade. We basically swapped deep, messy, complicated community roots for this shiny ideal of individual freedom. But that freedom, well, it came with a pretty steep hidden cost. And that cost is the very haunting we feel today. It's what the source calls the ghost of the clans.
All right, section 2, the lost village square. To really get a handle on this ghost, we've got to take a step back and look at the world that we left behind, the world that, for pretty much all of human history, was the default setting for being human.
Now, I know what you're probably thinking. The word hierarchy can set off some serious alarm bells, but it's really important to understand what's meant here by an organic hierarchy. It's less like a rigid corporate ladder and way more like a family tree. It's not about one person having power over another. It's about a natural structure where everybody has a clear role, a purpose, and real responsibilities to each other. And you can see how this played out. There was this vertical connection, right? You looked up to your elders for wisdom and guidance. And that, in turn, created this incredibly strong horizontal stability among everyone else in the community. Knowing your place wasn't seen as a restriction, it was the very source of your identity and your security. So how did we lose it all? Well, this timeline shows just how shockingly fast it happened. For literally 99% of human history, we lived in these clans. Then, in a historical blink of an eye, the Enlightenment put the individual on a pedestal. And right after that, the Industrial Revolution came along and physically shattered those communities, pulling us into anonymous cities. We traded our clans for cubicles. So this brings us to section 3, birth of the mass man. Because tearing down all those old structures, well, it didn't create a world full of happy, thriving individuals like you might think. Nope. It created something totally different. Something the philosopher Jose Ortega y Gasset called the mass man. Now, this mass man isn't a true individual in the classic sense. He's more like a face in the crowd. He's been freed from the so-called burdens of tradition and family duty. But in doing so, he's been completely hollowed out. He's left adrift without any real anchor, without an identity that was passed down to him. And this comparison just makes it so clear. On one side, you have a thick identity. It's deep, it's rich, it's rooted in centuries of history and shared experience. On the other side, you have the thin identity of the mass man. It's superficial, it's defined by what brands you like, what shows you binge watch, or your current political opinion. Things that just don't feed the soul. I love this line because it's so true. When you strip away a person's real, deep, thick identity, you create a void. And human beings, we just can't stand that emptiness. We will desperately, frantically search for anything to fill it. And here's where the story takes a dark turn. This is section 4, from clans to tribes. This is where the ghost of the clans gets its revenge. Because that desperate search for belonging, it doesn't lead us back to healthy, organic communities. It leads to the rise of something new, and frankly something much more dangerous. And please, if you take one thing away, let it be this. This is the critical difference. Organic clans were built on love and a sense of duty to the actual people near you, the ones you saw every day. But so many modern, toxic tribes, think online mobs or super intense political polarization, they're built on a shared hatred for some distant, abstract enemy. One nourishes you, the other poisons you. So this leaves us with this really strange psychological state, right? It's this weird cocktail of arrogance and fragility. The media and the internet make us feel like we're experts on everything, but deep down, we're incredibly fragile because we don't have any real roots. You can be shouting in a digital crowd of millions and feel completely and utterly unseen. Okay, I know. That's a pretty bleak diagnosis, right? But don't worry. The source material does not just leave us there. It actually offers a practical, clinical path forward to fight back against this haunting and reclaim a real sense of belonging. And the solution starts right here with this quote. This whole modern idea of the self-made person, it's a total myth. Our very sense of who we are is a collaborative project built with our families, our history, and our community. So the way to heal isn't to become even more independent. It's to finally embrace that we need each other. So here's the actionable homework. Step 1, ditch the mass. This means making a conscious choice to unsubscribe from the digital mob. Stop letting anonymous strangers and algorithms define who you are and what you should be angry about today. Step 2, find your micro-hierarchy. This means building real face-to-face connections across generations. Go find some elders whose wisdom you can learn from, and find some younger people who you can guide. You gotta show up in person. This rebuilds that grounding, vertical connection we lost. And third, honor your heritage. Instead of just tearing down the past, try reconstructing your own family story. Learn where you came from. It gives you roots that are so much deeper than any passing online trend. And look, let's be clear. The goal here is not to abandon the modern world and go live in a hut somewhere. It's about finding a way to re-anchor your soul so you can actually navigate the chaos of modern life without losing yourself. It's about integration, not a retreat. And so, we'll leave you with this final, really provocative thought. You are not just some random collection of consumer preferences. You are a link in an unbroken chain that stretches back to the very beginning of time. And the path out of loneliness isn't about becoming more free. It's about finally embracing your place in that chain and realizing the incredible strength that comes with it.